Hello everyone, this is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. And today I want to talk about the greatest hitter in baseball. What some people consider to be the greatest pure hitter ever in baseball. And that's Ted Williams. I'm going to read you a little bit about Ted Williams. I'm going to show you a couple of cards, autographs, and another, and just a game used piece of material from him. But first of all, before that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about Ted Williams in his own words. And it says, this is from the Baseball Hall of Fame. It says, Ted Williams always knew what he wanted. Others could debate who was the best all-around player in baseball history, but Williams was the best hitter. And this is his quote. Ted Williams said, "All I want out of life is that when I walk down the street, folks will say, 'There goes the greatest hitter that ever lived.'" That's what Ted Williams said. I want to also, play you an interview from who I considered was really one of the best hitters ever, and that's Ty Cobb himself. And this is what Ty Cobb said about Ted Williams in an interview when he was asked who was the greatest hitters. And here's the question. Here comes Ty Cobb in his own words.
I don't claim I was.
Mr. Cobb, of the ball players playing today and the hitters that are around, who would you say you would rate among the greatest?
Of the fellows playing today?
That's right.
The only way I can answer that, I wouldn't single out one man. It's impossible to do. I will say Williams, Mantle, and Musial. I got to put them all together, and then I wouldn't try to.
They're not necessarily in that order.
No, that's true. That is quite true.
Well, those three men, I think, Mr. Cobb, that the baseball domain itself would agree that you have a tremendous outfielder that really can hit. No doubt about that.
Yes, it's rather provocative to pick one man. There's Musial, a wonderful boy, a wonderful hitter. He'll play any position for you, and he's a fine team man. And you've got Mantle, who can hit that ball. He's fast and all. Then, of course, Williams with the most wonderful swing of any ball player I've ever seen. Williams, and a great hitter, and a fine boy.
Yes,
I like him very much.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear those kind words about him, because I consider him one of the best friends I've ever had in baseball, too, Mr. Cobb, I think, as I told you before. Well, Mr. Cobb, if you were to give you any advice.
So I wanted you to hear that interview directly from Ty Cobb. And that was an interview by Leo Cloutier. And if you want to hear that interview, the complete interview, it is on YouTube. But most people will agree that Ted Williams is considered the best hitter in baseball history. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about Ted, showing you a couple of autographs. But I want to read to you what his actual Hall of Fame plaque says. Theodore Samuel Williams, Ted. He played just with one team, and very rare that players stay with one team, but he played with the Red Sox from 1939 to 1960. Ted Williams batted .406 in 1941. He was the last player to bat over 400. .406, 1941. He led the American League in batting 6 times. In slugging percentage, 9 times. He led total bases in 6 times. Runs scored 6 times. Bases on balls 8 times. Total hits were 2,654, including 521 home runs. He had a lifetime batting average of .344 and a lifetime slugging average of .634. He was the most valuable player in the American League in 1946 and 1949. He played in 18 All-Star games, and he was named the Player of the Decade between 1950 and 1960. The Player of the Decade. Here's a picture of Ted Williams, actually a drawing of Ted Williams, a photo signed by Ted. And here's my celebration set card, postcard signed by Ted Williams. So I just want to show you a few things about Ted Williams. And there he is with his beautiful swing. So that's the celebration set. And these you've seen before. I've posted all these before. They're just postcards numbered to 10,000, autographed by Ted Williams. So just to show you a little bit about Ted Williams. In his career, he had a WAR of 122. 122 WAR is one of the top 10 players in baseball history. Well, top 10 batters, because there are pitchers that surpass that. But one of the things that I want to tell you about Ted is his OPS. And I'm going to just put this card here. This card I've shown before. It is my favorite Ted Williams card. I'm gonna put that on there so you can see it again. I always love looking at that card. That's the 1957 Topps card, and that was it's a #1 card of the set. And what I like about it, it's the first card, or the first set in the standard size that we have today. All the other cards before that, Ted it was a larger version of the cards, or a smaller version of the cards. This is the first standard Ted Williams card, and I just love that card. It really is my favorite Ted Williams card because it shows him his full picture in the batting stance. And these were this is one of his last year cards, but to me, this is one of my favorite cards of Ted Williams. It has almost all his stats on here. And it's the #1 card of the set. It talks about him being the most valuable player in 46 and 49. And he's led the league in homers and batting. And that is without him, he missed. You could see there, he missed from 1943 to 1945. He missed those years because he was in the Army. So you can imagine if Ted played all those years, basically missing, 3 years in the league in his prime. So if he would have played those years, he ended up with 521 home runs. He could have had, 600 home runs. And, in his prime, he missed those years in his prime. So, one thing I wanted to tell you about him is his OPS is probably the most impressive. And his OPS was 1.116 lifetime. And that's only surpassed by the Babe, the only one that had a higher OPS in the history of baseball. So he is #2 in OPS. And OPS is a combination of the on-base percentage, which he had a lifetime on-base percentage of 482. If you think about that, it basically says that he got on base every other time. 482, because he had a ton of walks back in those days. And his slugging percentage, lifetime slugging, was 634. So if you can, those two are the averages used for the OPS. Again, an OPS of 1.116 for his career, with a lifetime batting average of 344 lifetime batting average. If you can just imagine that. And that's despite missing some of his best years. I want to show you another one of his cards. This is a new card. But what I like about this card, it's actually has some of the hitters that Ty Cobb just mentioned. It's got Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, and Stan Musial. It also has, of course, a Babe. So this has this is game used. It says on here, on the front of this card are pieces of game used memorabilia of Ted Williams, Duke Snider, Babe Ruth, Stan Musial, Johnny Mize, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Eddie Matthews. I don't have a lot of new cards, but this is one for me. It's history because it has a game used piece of uniform from Ted Williams, a little piece of a bat from Babe Ruth. It's got Mickey Mantle, piece of uniform, and of course Willie Mays, Duke Snider, Stan Musial, Eddie Matthews. So the top 3 hitters, according to Ty Cobb: Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, and Stan the Man Musial. So I wanted to show that card also. And one last card I want to show you guys is from the 1950 Bowman. And that's the Ted Williams, I'm sorry, the Ted Williams and the 50 Bowman. And this is another one of my favorite cards. You know, it shows him, you know, with his batting swing there, and, you know, it's a beautiful card. Or like Adam from Vintage Century says, a gorgeous card with gorgeous centering, beautiful corners. I love how he talks about his cards. So if you haven't seen Vintage Sanctuary, take a look at his videos. He's great at describing the cards. So I'm not that good at it, at it as he is, but I just want to show you the cards so you can see what they look like. So this is the 1950 Ted Williams in a 6. To me, it is a gorgeous card, one of my favorites, along with the 1957. So I'll show you the back of that card also if you haven't seen them yet. That's the back of the 1950. It says here Ted the Thumper, but really he was called the Splendid Splinter. And you could see the back of the card there from the 1950 Bowman. Talks about that, and then after this, a couple years after that, he went into the military. That's the back of the 1950 Ted Williams Bowman card. So I wanted to give you a quick look at the Ted Williams, some other stats about him. He had a WAR of 122, and that's also within the top 10 of all hitters in the history of baseball. His batting average was, for his complete career, was .344 batting average. He had 2,600 hits, 2,654, 521 home runs, 1,839 RBIs. These are my 2 favorite Ted Williams cards. I wanted to give you a good look at them so you can take a look at it. Let me clean that up a little bit there, okay. All his hair on them. Okay, there you go, Ted. So there's Ted Williams from the 1957 Topps. The first standard size Ted Williams card number 1 of the set. I've shown that before, but it's my favorite, so I'll keep showing it. I love to look at it. And I'll show you this one again, which is the 50 Bowman Ted Williams in a 6. Give you another look at the celebration set card, which is a beautiful artist rendering by Dick Perez. Dick Perez considered the best baseball artist ever, and that's why the Hall of Fame hired him to do all these drawings. So there's Ted, there's his autograph there. Considered the greatest pure hitter in the history of baseball. So there's a piece of the uniform. So just wanted to kind of give you guys a little variety here and show you a little bit between the autographs here, cards, and a little bit of history on Ted. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching my videos. I'll be posting some more videos later this week. but I wanted you guys to take a look at a couple of nice Ted Williams cards, autographs, piece of his jersey, and talk to you a little bit about the greatest hitter, that considered the greatest hitter, pure hitter in baseball. Not just by me, but also by what is one of the greatest hitters, by Ty Cobb. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day, have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you again later. This is Orlando from A Collector's Dream.